everybody, Ellie here for WhoCulture. Now you've had me for 3 news videos in a row. The last time that happened, I'm pretty sure, was right at the peak of the 60th anniversary stuff. But surprisingly, we've actually had quite a lot of Doctor Who related news and content coming out in January, which is usually kind of unheard of, but let's not knock it. We've got lots of things to talk about. So I've actually got 2 things to talk to you about today. One of them is just really exciting, and the other one is maybe a little bit frustrating. But before we do get into that, the things we're going to discuss in this video have been taken from the latest edition of Doctor Who magazine. But we are only going to scratch the surface on what is revealed in this latest edition. And if you do want all those exclusives and all that information, then we would encourage you to go and get your hands on your own copy of that magazine. If we continue to support these products, then we'll continue to get these exclusives. So every month in Doctor Who magazine, Russell T Davies does his letter from the showrunner, and it basically just gives a little bit of juicy behind the scenes information as to where they are in the process of Doctor Who at the time. And really we saw 2 takeaways from this latest edition. Obviously one is the topic that's in the title of this video, but there's another one I'm just going to talk about quickly before we get into the bulk of it. So we learned that season 1 will have a 2-part season finale. It is kind of strange to think about the fact that because there are a reduced number of episodes in the season, that a quarter of that first season will be the finale, which is very strange to think. But Doctor Who does have a good history of great 2-part series finales. And Russell T Davies definitely has a good track record for that as well. If you think of Journey's End and Parting of the Ways, that is 2 completely different episodes, Ellie. What are you talking about? Think of The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, Bad Wolf and The Parting of the Ways, and then even beyond Russell T Davies, you have some later on as well. You've got The Pandorica Opens and The Big Bang, you've got World Enough in Time and The Doctor Falls. All of these are really, really great, and they're all 2-part stories. If you then compare those to the single episode finales, they just aren't really as good. Now, me and Danny have been debating this because personally I really enjoy The Wedding of River Song, but I can concede that there are better ones that are 2-parters compared to The Wedding of River Song. But if you think about those single-parters, you've got The Name of the Doctor, you've got The Battle of Ranskor Avkolos, but you kind of get the gist. 2-part series finale returning, I think this is a good thing. But the main takeaway we had from Russell T Davies' letter is actually a little bit of a bummer, really, because we should be watching Millie Gibson and Ncuti Gatwa in their first season of Doctor Who right now. Boo! So as we know, we will be seeing season 1 in May, but Russell T Davies did reveal that there was very strong consideration to have season 1 airing in January. And this is what he said. In an ideal world, we might have followed the Church on Ruby Road with a full series of Ncuti and Millie in January, and believe me, we tried. Way back in 2022, we juggled schedules and budgets and capacity, but nope. We'd have ended up spending money on the rush rather than on the programme itself. He also goes on to explain that the main culprit for this delay is to do with the visual effects. Contrary to popular belief, these things are very, very complex and very, very time consuming. And there is a lot of visual effects work that is required for Doctor Who. And we know that that hard work and that extra effort and maybe that extra time pays off when you look at things like, look at the Meep. The Meep looked amazing. Look at Unit Tower or Stark Tower. They all look incredible, but in order for them to look that great, it does then take a long time for them to be completed. And this isn't, a $200 million Marvel project. They don't have the budget to rush these things. Just to reiterate, boo, because we could have been watching Doctor Who right now. How amazing would that have been if we came straight into January and we had a new series of Doctor Who to watch? So on the one hand, that is quite the bummer, and particularly because in recent years Doctor Who has had a really big issue with these major gaps. And granted, December to May isn't necessarily that big of a gap in the grand scheme of things, but following on the 13 months lacking of Doctor Who between The Power of the Doctor and the 60th anniversary, It would have been very nice if we could have just gone straight into it. And in the past, Russell has spoken about getting the Empire ready, which obviously is talking about all that time building up spin-offs and everything that's going to combine to make this Whoniverse. But there's a part of us that's kind of going, come on, man, you've had since like 2021 to get this going, so where is all this content? How long do you need? But in the long run, he has stated that he wants to get rid of these big gap years, and if waiting a little while beforehand, before we then get thrust into this great era of Doctor Who where there aren't these major gaps, then maybe we just need to be patient just for a little while longer. I guess the other question being, if not January, then why not February? Why not March? Why May? Something that maybe should be considered is that summer, springtime, generally for TV or viewers, is not so great. When you think about it, people are more likely to be sat in watching TV in those colder months, in those winter months, and it would have probably benefited the show to carry on riding the high that those 4 previous episodes had already ignited, and go straight into the season while it's already hot and everybody's really, really intrigued and invested in what's going on. Do they run the risk of losing that potential interest by having this gap? I mean, Doctor Who used to air in April. That's how it used to be back in the RTD1 era. So, I know we're saying, oh, why May? This is going to do terribly. That's not actually what I'm saying. But at the same time, times have changed, television has changed, and there's a much higher competition now between all these different shows. And it does maybe make sense to have aired straight after the Christmas special, the 60th anniversary episodes, when Doctor Who was the talk of the town. So that's one side of it, but then on the other side, I totally get it. It's not like they didn't try to make it work and get it out to us in January. I mean, he literally said they really did try. But at the end of the day, if the visual effects are taking that much time and they require that much attention, then ultimately, I would rather have stronger episodes of this new season and have to wait a little bit longer for them than episodes that came out in January but seemed rushed and rough around the edges because they didn't have enough time to really polish them off. So in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather wait a little bit longer and have a better end product. I do wonder also if COVID kind of played a part in this. When I know I can hear you already going, COVID, that doesn't exist anymore. Well, first of all, I have COVID, so it does. But also, Russell T Davies says that they tried, quote, way back in 2022. That's just coming out of the height of the pandemic. And I do wonder if there's a case for, these visual effects studios and art houses just having a massive backlog of work, masses of workloads to plough through. We do know that there has been a lot of issues lately with regards to how these visual effects workers have been treated, particularly with regards to Marvel. So it's nice to know that the Doctor Who's not contributing to that. They're going, you know what, take your time. We'd rather that you took your time on it and it came out looking great than we just coming down hard on you and telling you to hurry up and then you rushing it. And I think the other positive as well, having these episodes air in May as opposed to January, is then we don't have as big of a gap to wait between season 1 and the Christmas special at the end of this year. I do think that it's better to have the season airing kind of midway through the year, so you've got a smaller gap between this Christmas special leading to season 1, and then after season 1 leading to the next Christmas special. Otherwise, that's literally 9 months to wait for the next lot of Doctor Who, which will just be the one Christmas special, and then we'll have another long time to wait for the next season. So I think in the grand scheme of things, it definitely works out better to spread these things out a little bit. As much as it would be wonderful to have gone straight from November, December, anniversary specials, Christmas specials, straight into season 1, but then what? Then you've been spoiled because you've had it all in one go, and then you've got even longer to wait for anything new. So I really do think that probably in the grand scheme of things, May is a good time for these episodes to air. And look, there's nothing stopping them from trying January next time. Again, personally, I don't know that I would like that, but what if they aired one of the spin-offs then? That's what I think they should do. I think they should have Christmas special, and then I think in between the Christmas special and the next season of the main show, that's when you should drop the spin-off and then after the first season, in that gap between then and the next Christmas special, have something else in that gap. So there's always something happening within like the space of 2 months, say, but the bulk of the main show itself is spread out a little bit. Did that make sense? I'm not sure if it did. I know what I meant. Let us know in the comments down below. What do you think? Would January have been better, or do you think May is the better time to air? Let us know. Boo!